Revelation 17 from verse 6. When I saw the woman seated on the beast, I was greatly astonished. Then the angel said to me, "Why are you astonished? I will explain to you the mystery of the woman and of the beast she rides, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which you saw once was, now is not, and yet will come up out of the abyss and go to its destruction. The inhabitants of the earth, whose names have not been written in the book of life from the creation of the world, will be astonished when they see the beast, because it once was, now is not, and yet will come." This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 hills on which the woman sits. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet come. But when he does come, he must remain for only a little while. The beast who once was and now is not is an 8th king. He belongs to the 7th and is going to his destruction. The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who for 1 hour will receive authority as kings along with the beast. They have one purpose and will give their power and authority to the beast. They will wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph over them because he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and with him will be his called, chosen, and faithful followers. Then the angel said to me, "The waters you saw where the prostitute sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages. The beast and the 10 horns you saw will hate the prostitute. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to accomplish his purpose by agreeing to hand over to the beast their royal authority until God's words are fulfilled. The woman you saw is the great city that rules over the kings of the earth." This is the word of the Lord. Hi friends, great to be able to share with you again today. I have a confession to make. It's Wednesday. I'm filming this on Wednesday, and I normally film my daily devotions the day before you get them, and I schedule them to go live on YouTube at 5:30 a.m. and I schedule them to hit your inbox at 6 a.m. if you're a member of St. Mark's and have subscribed to these devotions. By the way, if you're getting these and you'd like to stop getting them, please let me know and I can take you off the list. Today I got an email from one guy saying, "Oh, my devotion hasn't arrived yet." And I got an email from someone else saying, "I was really worried about you when there wasn't a devotion in the inbox. I hope you had a good sleep in," and so on. And what had happened is I'm normally a day ahead, but yesterday I had my day off. I've been having my day off on Saturday. I had my day off yesterday, which was Tuesday, and so I actually made that devotion. So I'm making 2 devotions today on Wednesday. That may be confusing, but what I'm trying to say is I'm revealing this is what's actually happening. You may have had a perception that I'm up every morning at 5 a.m., reading commentaries and getting this talk online. That's not the case. I don't get up at 5 a.m. every day. I sometimes do, but it's pretty rare. I prepare these the day before. It takes me about an hour to prepare them, to put them online, and they hit your inbox the next day. Mystery revealed. Now, there's another reason for me to share that story, and that is that in the book of Revelation there are lots of details, and some people have given an extraordinary amount of effort to working out what all of those details means, and they draw complex maps of how these point to future events and so on, and sometimes I think it gets a bit obsessive. However, there are times when the book of Revelation expressly and specifically calls us to look at the details, such as calculate the number of the beast. This calls for wisdom. And here's another passage where that happens in verse 9. This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 hills on which the woman sits, and so on. So the details in this passage are quite hard, and I'm not going to unpack all of them now, but we are called to have a mind of wisdom and to think hard about the details in this passage. Just to help you begin to do that, let me make some observations. First of all, when John sees this vision of a woman sitting on a beast, he is astonished. Now, why is he astonished? Perhaps he's astonished because he's seeing Babylon prospering. He's seeing Babylon looking powerful and glorious, and he's wondering what's going on here. When is Babylon going to be judged? Perhaps he's astonished for another reason. But the angel wants to help John in his astonishment and explain the mystery of the woman and the beast she rides. He's going to reveal the mystery. And the first thing that he does is reveal who the beast is. And in verse 8, when he speaks about this beast who was, now is not, and yet will come up out of the abyss, he is very clearly identifying this beast with the Antichrist, the beast that we met a couple of chapters ago, who is the first weapon of Satan in the world. And so there's a close identification here. By the way, I've suggested that the Antichrist is a figure that existed many years ago in the Roman Emperor and then exists again and again whenever a foreign power is raised up against Jesus. Although there is a view that there will be an ultimate Antichrist to come one day, and I'm still very open to that. After all, 2 Thessalonians speaks about the man of lawlessness who must come before Christ returns. So there may be an Antichrist of Antichrist yet to come, and I'm open to that as well. But in any case, the beast is more important than the woman here because the woman's power is dependent upon the power of the beast. And of course, his power is dependent on the power of Satan. And as we're called to think about wisdom, the 7 heads of this beast are 7 hills on which the woman sits. Now, for John's readers, that probably would have reminded them of the Roman Empire. There were seven famous hills in the Roman Empire. And then there's these 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is. The other has not yet come. Who are these 7 kings? I might ask Leon Morris to help us a bit with that. So this is Leon Morris, one of my favourite Bible commentators. He says many think we should look to Rome, as in first century Rome, as the illustration of these realities. In this case, the kings of the Roman emperors. Most agree we should start with Augustus rather than Julius Caesar. So Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius and Nero are the 5. So then there's this, who is the 6th king, and there's debate about which emperor is accepted throughout history and so on. And the 7th is yet to come. But there's a different view Leon Morris mentions, which is that the kings symbolise not individual rulers, but empires. So empires throughout history. So you've got the old Babylonian Empire, the Assyrian, the new Babylonian, the Medo-Persian, the Greco-Macedonian, different empires throughout history. And Leon Morris says either of those views is possible, but perhaps better is the view that we are to take the numbers symbolically. 7 will then stand for the power of the Roman Empire as a historic whole. It's the number of perfection, pointing to the whole. 5 kings have passed away, which puts John in the time of the 6th, which precedes the time of the 7th, when the 6th bowl judgment is poured out. Now, it's complex, isn't it? It's complex, and I'm not going to tell you which of those views you ought to embrace, but we are invited to think deeply about what this means, who these kings are, or who these empires are. But one of the things we need to see, whoever they are, verse 13, they have one purpose, and they will give power and authority to the beast. These kings exist to exalt the Antichrist. They will wage war, and I would suggest that's throughout history they give power to the Antichrist, not just at one point. They wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph over them because he is the Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And with him will be his called, chosen and faithful followers. There's a bit more about the battle, and we're going to hear more about this battle in chapter 19, where we see Jesus the White Rider at war. So there's the beast, and then we hear about the prostitute. She sits on the many waters, which are many nations. And then this thing happens at the end. Verse 16, the beast and the 10 horns will hate the prostitute. They will bring her to ruin and leave her naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. We see a picture here of Satan's allies turning upon themselves and tearing one another to pieces. This woman is the great city Babylon that rules over the kings of the earth. We're just seeing the same thing, aren't we? We're seeing evil will continue until Christ returns, Evil will be defeated when Christ returns. And as powerful, and in this passage as alluring as evil may seem, it will not last. The question remains, how are we going at resisting the allurement of Babylon? How are we going at resisting that and remembering that as attractive as she may look, as attractive as the things she holds out on the posters and the TV and the magazines, that Christ is to be our all and our devotion. May he be mine and may he be yours. God bless. See you tomorrow.